I'm going to show you everything you need to know to master Discipline Priest in Mists of Pandaria Classic. First up, which race do you want to go with? Well, for Alliance and Horde, pretty much, I'm going to say Pandaren, not just because it's the hot new race on the block, but because we actually get an insane new racial called Epicurean, which doubles the well-fed buff. So at the start of Pandaria, at least, and obviously it gets higher as we go on through the expansion, we actually get food buffs that give us 300 intellect, meaning we can get an extra 300 intellect from this buff, which is absolutely massive. That's actually similar to the amount you get from doing professions. You could go with Troll for the Berserking Haste buff as well. That is really, really good. Or Worgen, if Worgen can be priests. Yes, they can. With the 1% spell crit, but Pandaren throw Worgen out of the water now. Troll with Berserking is still really good, however. So if you are Horde and you want to be a Troll, you can be. I mean, you can be whatever you want, obviously, but Pandaren do pretty much come out top in Mists of Pandaria. So moving now on to the talents. If you are coming in from Cataclysm, you'll obviously know they are very different now. So the top bar doesn't really do much for us. It's more about crowd control, etc. So Void Tendrils on a 30-second cooldown roots enemies. Psyfiend causes everyone to run in terror, and Dominate Mind controls the mind of up to a level 93 for 30 seconds, but doesn't work against mechanical. You can change these out with Tomes of the Clear Mind, so I would recommend just take whatever fits you best for the situation at hand. On the second Rhine, I go with Body and Soul. You could go with Angelic Feather, which places a feather at the target location and you gain massive movement speed, and you can place up to 3 feathers. But I like Body and Soul because it's passive and it's one less thing to think about, but we can still get a great benefit from it. When you cast Power Word Shield, you increase the target's movement speed by 60% for 4 seconds. So I can just Power Word Shield people and increase their movement speed, which is fantastic in all sorts of situations where they need to get out of, get out of stuff quickly or just get from one side of the room to the other, etc., etc. But don't take my word for it. If you prefer Angelic Feather, please do feel free to go for it. Same again on the next line. We have From Darkness Comes Light. You've got a 15% chance when you smite or cast a healing spell to cause your next flash heal to be instant cast and have no mana cost. Now this is really, really good because it means we can get some instant free flash heals, which is our kind of emergency, get out of jail free card heal. It's our very inefficient, very expensive, but quick heal. What I often go for is Mindbender, which is on a minute cooldown. It's an improved version of Shadow Fiend that is substantially more effective at dealing damage and generating mana. So I can use my Mindbender, which as you can see is here. It's basically a little thingy-bob that we met in Cataclysm, in Poseidon's, whatever it's called. So you can get loads and loads of mana back this way, versus saving mana by getting free flash heals. So again, that is up to you, but I go with Mindbender for the more higher throughput with more mana. In dungeons, From Darkness Comes Light will likely be better because you can drink in between pulls. In raids, I would go with Mindbender because it's a longer fight and mana is more important. Again, on the level 60 line, we could go with Angelic Bulwark or Desperate Prayer, whereas we're getting passive versus active again. Desperate Prayer instantly is a 30% health heal on a 2-minute cooldown, only for yourself. And then Angelic Bulwark, anytime your damaging attack brings you below 30% health, you gain an absorption shield equal to 20% of your health, lasting 20 seconds. It can only happen every 90 seconds. So you dip below 30% health, you get a 20% shield, every 90 seconds, or it can happen every 90 seconds. So again, if you feel like it's a very, there's not going to be many moments, then you could go Desperate Prayer as a kind of emergency heal. But if it's in a raid where you're often getting dropped really low health, then Angelic Bulwark could be a lot better, and that's the one I am personally going to choose. Again, on the next line, I would advise to go with Power Infusion or Twist of Fate. It's again another option for you. Power Infusion can only be now used on yourself. Infuses the Priest of Power, increasing spell haste by 20%, all damage by 5, and reduces the mana cost of all spells by 20%. Whereas Twist of Fate, after damaging or healing a target that is on low health, you deal 15% increased damage and healing for 10 seconds. So that's going to be basically, if people are dropping really low all the time, Twist of Fate could be better, but Power Infusion on a 2-minute cooldown, if there's big bursts in the fight where you need a lot more haste, spell damage, and you're going to be whizzing out spells and need to actually conserve your mana a bit more, then Power Fusion would be for you. So again, it may depend on the situation if you want to go for Power Infusion or Twist of Fate. Again, this is another choice on the last slide. Oh my goodness, if you're looking for me to just tell you which ones to go for, you must be hating me right now. We can go with Divine Star, Halo, or Cascade. This depends again on the fight, and it will depend on the situation and layout of the raid group. Divine Star is like this. It throws a boomerang in front of you, healing and damaging people in its path. So if everyone is kind of in a line or in a grouped up where that target is, then cool, Divine Star. Halo, however... Oh, it's on cooldown, so I can't change my talent. Oh, there we go. Halo, however... will do it kind of surrounding you. As you can see, it does a big halo of healing. So if everyone's spread out around the room, then Halo would be better for you in that talent slot rather than Divine Star. Cascade launches a holy bolt at the target that grows in power as it travels, which does damage and healing as well. The effect can bounce from allies to other allies or or from enemies to other enemies. Each time it bounces, it splits into 2 bolts, preferring further away targets. So this one is good if everyone's sort of dotted about all over the place. Halo is good if they're kind of around you in a circle, if you will, and Divine Star is better if they're grouped up. So it just depends on how people are grouped in the fight, and you can change these at will, remember, with Tome of the Clear Mind. On the glyphs, we have some fairly good ones as a Discipline Priest. We've got Glyph of Penance, increasing the mana cost of Penance, but allowing it to be cast while moving. If you don't really need it while moving, and it's not a movement-heavy fight, then I would go with something to Prayer of Mending. So, honestly, in fact, I would actually probably say just go with Prayer of Mending over Penance, unless it's a really movement-heavy fight and you do need the movement. So Glyph of Prayer of Mending, the first charge of your Prayer of Mending heals an additional 60%, but it has 1 fewer charge, which is beneficial. Glyph of Powered Shield, 20% of the absorb will actually heal. So it'll actually do a heal and absorb, which I really like. And then Glyph of Smite, your Smite spell inflicts an additional amount of damage against targets afflicted by Holy Fire, but that additional damage does not get transferred by Atonement. This means that we can do an extra bit of DPS. So if you don't know what Atonement is, it is something I'll be explaining in full depth shortly, but TLDR is that Atonement healing, when we do damage, we also do healing. So what it's saying is you can do more damage of your Smite if they have Holy Fire on them, which they will. However, that will not be extra healing. So it's just a way of us doing a little bit of extra DPS. Because in Pandaria, Disc Priests are one of the few healers that now will start doing, a lot more DPS. Another good one you could do is Weakened Soul, reducing the duration of Weakened Soul effect caused by Powered Shield by 2 seconds. That's another really useful one. So when you get Powered Shield, you cannot be affected by Powered Shield again for another 10-12 seconds, and that glyph will actually reduce that duration, meaning you can use Powered Shield again sooner. For the minor glyphs, they are all literally aesthetic and do not help you with combat at all, so I've left those blank for now, and it's completely up to you. For Mists of Pandaria Classic, I'm teaming up with Zygor to give you 20% off with code Javier. Zygor gives you the fastest and most efficient leveling experience. As you can see here, looking at killing snow leopards, I can even click all the different waypoint coordinates to see the fastest way to get to the different areas they may be in. It can also look at flight paths and show me which ways to go, including all of the different travel options. And when choosing quest rewards, it can even tell me which is the best upgrade for me. And this will be even spec dependent. I can click on the gloves, complete the quest, and then it will even tell me to equip them and shows me how much attributes and stats I will gain by equipping these items. Maybe even talents. I can use the talent advisor with Zygor, simply clicking that I want to be an Affliction Warlock, and it's going to configure it automatically to show me the best leveling build for Affliction for me. The fun doesn't stop there, though, because it's available for SOD, Classic, Retail, Leveling. I can choose zones I want to go into, and it'll tell me how to get there and do all of the leveling in that zone, even if you're going back to old zones that you've leveled out of. Dungeons, dailies, events, reputation, gold making, professions, pets and mounts, and achievements. You can use as little or as much as you like. And don't forget, you can get 20% off with code Javier and battle past everyone at lightning speed in Mists of Pandaria Classic. Now we look on to the rotation. So although all of the abilities here may look overwhelming, I can assure you I've actually put it into groups. So the top line is basically how we're going to handle single target healing, split into tank or single target healing like priorities, and then kind of low to moderate healing, and then extreme emergency healing on the right hand side. Then we have raid healing here, cooldowns, and then we're going to discuss atonement healing separately and some other bits and bobs. So that's what you can basically see on the screen. So to start off then, we are going to be using Penance. It launches a volley of Holy Light, and it can do damage or healing. As you can see here, it's a volley of Holy Light, and we can use that every 9 seconds. So we would use this pretty much on cooldown on a single target, like the tank, for example. If they need a lot more healing, then we can use Greater Heal on them, which is an expensive, slow cast that does a lot of healing. And we can also use Powered Shield, which you'd pretty much be using on the tank, probably on cooldown as well. This is going to absorb damage, and if you've taken the glyph, it'll do some healing for them as well. While the shield holds, spellcasting will not be interrupted by damage. Once shielded, the target cannot be done again for 13 seconds. Again, that is with the glyph, otherwise it's 15 seconds. So pretty simple there. If there is low healing that needs doing, low to moderate I would say, we can make extensive use of, rather than Greater Heal, Heal, which is a third of the cost, but does about half the healing. So, and it's the same cast time. So you can use Heal, you know, as your small sort of filler heal. And then we've got Prayer of Mending, which we're going to use pretty much on cooldown. This is going to put stacks of healing onto someone. So you can see it says here, heals X amount the next time you take damage. When I do take damage, that heal will then bounce to somebody else and go down from 4 stacks to 3 stacks. And it will bounce around to people, basically doing healing to each of them when they then take damage. Whenever you're on the move, we can use Renew, because it's an instant cast spell that is a heal over time. And, oh, can you notice that we've just got a little bubble around us, but it's not from Divine Powered Shield? Well, this is called here, Divine Aegis. So how does that come about? Well, it's a passive. I was waiting for it to come up so I could show you. It's a passive where critical heals create another protective shield on target, absorbing the amount healed, instead of healing for twice as much. So if you heal for 100,000, but it crits for 200,000, you will actually only heal them for 100,000, but then they'll then get this absorb barrier around them. Additionally, Powered Shield has a chance equal to your critical effect chance to absorb twice as much. So just thought it was a good moment to let you know about that. So again, use Renew if you are on the move, or if Prayer of Mending is on cooldown, Powered Shield is on cooldown, and you still need to do sort of moderate healing, you can do Renew. If you need to do a lot of healing, again, we have Greater Heal. Prayer of Mending is still really good for high healing. It's really, really efficient. If it's an emergency heal, you can use Flash Heal. It's very expensive, and it heals a moderate amount, but is a really quick cast. So you need to be, you know, wary of the fact that this will drain your mana quite quickly, but it is a very quick and an inefficient heal. Binding Heal, you can also use, so you use Binding Heal on somebody else, but it will also heal you as well. And this is equally a very expensive heal. So you've got your kind of basic heals, use Penance on pretty much on cooldown for tank healing and single target healing, Powered Shield, and then Greater Heal if you need to do big healing. For slow to moderate healing, Heal is kind of your filler. I would use Prayer of Mending on cooldown, and Renew if you're on the move, etc. And then using Greater Heal, Flash Heal, and Binding Heal in emergency situations. So, I mean, Greater Heal isn't just for emergencies, because it does so much healing. So it's like, oh, you're at low health, but you're not going to die. I can take the time to heal you with Greater Heal. Whereas Flash Heal is like, oh my god, I've got to heal them really quick, you know? And Binding Heal is kind of the same. It doesn't do as much healing overall as Flash Heal, but it will heal you and somebody else at a similar mana cost and cast time to Flash Heal. Looking at raid healing, again, use Prayer of Mending on cooldown. It's really, really fantastic. We're going to make extensive use of Prayer of Healing, which is going to heal party members nearby for a moderate amount, and we can make extensive use of Powered Shield as well. It's pretty simple. As you get higher and higher crit chance, we'll obviously be getting more and more Divine Aegises up on our party members as well, and that will proc from Prayer of Healing. Before we go on to the cooldowns, I want to talk to you about Atonement Healing and some of our other passives. One thing is Divine Fury. So with Atonement Healing, we need to do damage to do healing. Divine Fury passive increases your chance to hit with Penance, Smite, Powered Solace, Cascade, Divine Star. So basically all of your DPS spells. Meaning you don't have to worry about hit chance. Your spells will never miss when hitting the target, because obviously as a healer, we will not be getting hit gear. You do not need gear with hit chance on it. Divine Fury covers that all off for you. Your spells, your damaging spells will never miss. We also have Evangelism. When you deal direct damage with Penance, Smite, or Holy Fire, you gain Evangelism, and that can stack up to 5 times. What does Evangelism do? It increases the damage and healing done by your Penance, Smite, or Holy Fire spells and reduces the mana cost of them. So if I use Smite, which is just a spam damage attack, you can see I'm gaining Evangelism, and it will go up to 5 stacks. So it's increasing the damage of your Penance, Smite, and Holy Fire, and reducing the mana cost of them. So the more damage you do, the more damage and healing you will do. So how does that convert then into healing? Well, we then have the passive Atonement. When you deal damage with Smite, Holy Fire, and Penance, you instantly heal a nearby low health friendly target for 90% of the damage dealt. And it's very efficient because it will actually heal a nearby low health person, so you don't have to worry about who it's healing, it will decide for itself. If the priest is healed for Atonement, the effect is reduced, however. So when you're doing that damage, you'll be passively healing other people. And obviously the more you cast those spells, Evangelism is going to mean that they're doing more damage and therefore more healing. One thing to note is that when we do get to 5 stacks of Evangelism, your Archangel spell will light up. This will consume your 5 Evangelism stacks, increasing your healing done by 5% for each Evangelism consumed for 18 seconds. So I can use that and get 25% increased healing, and then I can start going again, and then I can actually get more Evangelism stacks as well as having the increased healing from Archangel. So you can kind of use Archangel on cooldown in order to maximize your healing with Evangelism and also the Archangel buff, where it's absorbing your previous Evangelism stacks. So it really is actually quite simple on how you're going to be using Atonement Healing. So obviously if you need to be doing big healing really quickly, you could use your Flash Heal and Greater Heal, etc. But when in periods where you're not having to do such extreme healing, you can use your Holy Fire, spam your Smite to do some DPS, but also be healing at the same time, and the same goes with your Penance as well. And obviously Archangel will actually mean that you are doing 25% more healing every 18 seconds out of 30 seconds. So it's up for 18 seconds and it's on a 30-second cooldown. And obviously that affects all healing. So you really should be making use of weaving in your Atonement heals while using your straightforward heals. If you think that's all a bit too confusing, then Disc Priest is a fairly complex healer. Maybe check out my Holy Priest guide if you want something a bit simpler. So now looking at the cooldowns we have Powered Barrier. Summons a Holy Barrier on the target location, reducing all damage done to friendly targets while in it by 25%. Pretty simple. It reduces damage done to everyone standing inside this barrier. Pain Suppression reduces a friendly target's threat by 5% and reduces all damage taken by 40%. So do be careful using this on tanks because of the threat reduction. Powered Infusion, Power Infusion increases our spell power, haste, and reduces the mana cost of our spells, and it increases our damage, which is really good in high healing burst situations. We have Spirit Shell, only on a minute cooldown. For the next 10 seconds, your Heal, Flash Heal, Greater Heal, and Prayer of Healing no longer heal, but instead create absorption shields that last 15 seconds. So this is really, really good. If people are about to get loads of damage, we could be putting up our Flash Heals and our I'm clicking the wrong spells, our Greater Heals, etc., and get loads of absorption shields up on the raid before the damage comes in. Void Shift, you and the currently targeted party member swap health percentage, increases the lower health percentage of the two to 25% if below that amount. So if somebody else is at 10% health, you can swap health with them, but it'll up you to 25%. Otherwise, it'll just swap your health percentages. Hymn of Hope restores mana to nearby low mana party and raid members, and increases their total maximum mana for a few seconds. You must channel it though, so you can't be like running around while using it. We've spoken about Mindbender if taking it, and a few other little bits we have here is Powered Fortitude, increasing stamina, of course, for everyone. We have Inner Fire and Inner Will. Generally, you're going to be using Inner Fire, as you can only use one of these at a time. The reason we use Inner Fire is because it gives you armor, which is nice, but mainly it increases your spell power by 10%, whereas Inner Will increases your movement speed and reduces the mana cost of instant cast spells. So, yes, it's nice for the bit of movement speed, but generally, Inner Fire with a spell power is going to be much better. There's also Inner Focus on a 45-second cooldown, reducing the mana cost of your next Flash Heal, Greater Heal, or Prayer of Healing, and increases the critical effect chance by 100%, which is really useful, and you can use it every 45 seconds. Now, I would always use this on something like a Greater Heal rather than a Flash Heal, because remember, it makes it it reduces the mana cost and double, and well, it means it's a guaranteed crit, whereas obviously Flash Heal will heal for 47 to 49,000, Greater Heal will heal to 62 to 66,000. So if you can, use Inner Focus with your biggest heals, like a Greater Heal, or with a Prayer of Healing, because, you know, it's going to be healing the most amount, and you get the most use out of your Inner Focus. We also have Purify, which dispels harmful effects of magic and disease on our target. And we also have something called Grace, which is really interesting. It's a passive. Your Flash Heal, Heal, Greater Heal, etc. bless the target of Grace, increasing all healing received from the priest by 10%, and it can stack 3 times. So if you're healing the same target a lot, this is going to be really beneficial for you. Also, after casting Powered Shield, you gain Borrowed Time, reducing the cast time or channel of your next priest spell within 6 seconds by 15%. Our Mastery stat will actually increase the potency of all of our absorption spells and all of our healing. And then we have Rapture. When your Powered Shield is completely absorbed, you are instantly refunded all of its mana cost. So in raids and that, this is going to be a really fantastic way of actually making Powered Shield basically free. So you don't often have to worry about the mana cost of using Powered Shield, hence why we're using it so much. One other thing as well is that when you use Greater Heal, the cooldown of Inner Focus is actually reduced by 5 seconds, and when you Smite, the cooldown on Penance is reduced. So what you'll see here is I use my Penance, it's on cooldown. If I use my Smite, you can actually see it's massively reducing the cooldown on Penance, so I can use it again. And the same with Greater Heal, reducing the cooldown on Inner Focus over here by 5 seconds every time you use it. As you can see here, it's like 40, 39, and I use Greater Heal, and it takes off 5 seconds. We can also dispel beneficial effects on our enemies from Dispel Magic. We have Fade, where we can reduce any threat that we may have. Leap of Faith, which will pull the friendly target to you, getting them out of jail in theory. Levitate, which is like a slow fall. Master Spell, which dispels effects in this gargantuan area, which is one of the, well, it is the best in the game, and still is even in retail to this day. Psychic Scream to make people run away from you. We do have Shadow Word, Death and Pain, but we're not really going to be using them. We're more using the spells that I've told you about for Atonement Healing. And that is pretty much it. So yes, it's a very complex spec. Holy Priest is simpler, so do check out my guide if you're thinking, oh my god, Javier, this is really overwhelming, or just rewind the video and watch it 10 times. But no, hopefully that was easy to understand. But again, just to recap, you use these kind of on cooldown and as your general large healing. Low to moderate healing is here, emergency healing are these. Raid-wide healing, use these. Reduces damage, increases spell haste, etc., reduces mana cost. Spirit Shell is going to make all your heals instead do absorption. Void Shift swaps your health. Hymn of Hope gives mana. Mindbender gives mana. Make sure you're putting up Powered Fortitude. Use Inner Fire over Inner Will. Use Inner Focus on cooldown to get guaranteed crits and increased healing. And use your Atonement Healing by basically using Smite and Holy Fire, getting your 5 stacks of Evangelism, which you will then use on your Archangel to get increased healing. And don't forget, you will also have your Divine Star, Cascade, or Halo, depending on which talent you have taken. Regarding what stats you want as a Discipline Priest in MoP, number one is, of course, going to be Intellect, which increases the actual power of your spells and also gives you a little bit of spell critical hit as well. The second one is then going to be Spirit. This basically increases your mana generation, and it does say while out of combat by X amount per 5 seconds. But we actually have a passive called Meditation, allowing 50% of your mana regen from Spirit to continue while in combat. Hence why Spirit is still a really important stat for us. After that, we're then going to want Mastery, increasing the potency of all of our absorption and all of our healing. Now, obviously, as a Disc Priest, we do a lot of absorption, and this is a really powerful stat for us. After that, it'll be Haste. Haste is actually most useful for your AoE raid healing, as it can be used for single healing as well, just making everything quicker. But things like Prayer of Healing, etc., are going to be spammed out much quicker with more haste. And then Critical Strike, wherever it is. Here we go. This is going to be most useful when you're tank healing. For single target and AoE as well, it can provide some benefits in certain situations, but it's just massively outweighed by the randomness of Critical Strike. So single target kind of healing, you're going to get a lot more benefit from this. That's why Mastery and then Haste are better. For your gems, you want to go with an Ember Primal Diamond in the meta slot, Brilliant Primordials, etc. In your red slots. In yellow, it's going to be Artful Vermilion Onyxes and Purified Imperial Amethysts or Perfect Purified Rogue Stones in your blue slots. For the enchants we've got a few on the shoulders here from Inscription, but if you are an inscriber yourself, you can get this super duper whooper one as seen here. Superior Intellect on your cloak and Lightweave Embroidery if you're a tailor, glorious stats on your chest, Intellect again on the wrists. You can actually get fur lining with Intellect if you're a leather worker, and you can also add an extra socket if you are a blacksmith, and that goes for the hands as well. On the hands, you can get Mastery, Haste, Expertise, which will of course help with the spell hit cap should you need it. Living Steel Belt Buckle, everyone can add, no matter your profession. Cerulean Spell Thread, etc. on here, and there's Master Spell Thread if you are a tailor. Pandaren Step on your feet. If you're an enchanter, you can get greater intellect on both your rings, and then you've got Jade Spirit, Elemental Force, or Wind Song on your weapons. And you can also put Major Intellect if you are using an offhand or can use an offhand as a caster as well. Regarding the professions that you may want to take, tailoring gives you about 320 intellect. Blacksmithing does, jewel crafting does, alchemy, enchanting does. They all pretty much give the same amount, but leatherworking always comes through with an extra 10 intellect. Herbalism gives 480 haste as well, so not bad. But generally, it doesn't matter which profession you take in Mists of Pandaria. For consumables, as a caster, I'm filming this on my mage, but it's the same for all casters. You want Potion of the Jade Serpent, increasing intellect by 4,000 for 25 seconds. You've got Flask of the Warm Sun, increasing intellect by 1,000 for an hour. And then you've also got a mana potion if you need it, called a Master Mana Potion. There's a Potion of Focus as well for casters, should they need it for their mana as well. Master Healing Potions are the healing potions, and generally you're going to be using a Great Pandaren Banquet to get 275 in intellect. If you're using food on your own, however, it's going to be a Mogu Fish Stew, which gives 300 intellect. There is a Braised Turtle, which is 275 as well, and Swirling Mist Soup, which gives 250 intellect. But generally, the Mogu Fish Stew is the absolute best, with 300 intellect for all casters. And there we go, guys. That is everything you need to know about Disc Priest healing in Mists of Pandaria Classic. I hope it was helpful for you. If it was, do leave a like and subscribe, of course. And again, if you do want to support the channel, you can do by Patreon down in the description, where I've got LVI profiles and spreadsheets, etc. that can also help you out. If you did want to supercharge your leveling and adventuring experience in all aspects of WoW, don't forget you can get 20% off with my link below for Zygor guides.